Okay, hello everybody. Let's see. See if I am. There we go. Okay, yep, I am live. Hello everybody. So, as I had mentioned on my profile yesterday, and hopefully some of you have seen it, and some of you maybe didn't, and will watch this later. Gotta fix my hair there a little bit. I am going live to talk with you tonight about how I made my immune system strong. So, some of you I know have noticed the frame that I have around my profile picture, Make Immune System Strong Again. And this is really, I feel like, something that we need to get trending. And we need to get this trending as much or more than, actually, I would say more than people who are posting about having gotten the COVID-19 vaccine. Because the reality is that we have a chronic situation with a lot of people in this country and really even in other countries who lack a strong immune system. And this, is causing or making, a lot of health issues that people have even worse. And so I am going to be talking with you for the next few minutes and sharing with you my story about how I made my immune system strong. So, the way that this is going to work is, first off, I'm going to talk with you about my before story, sharing you with a little bit about how my immune system used to be. And then, second, I will talk about some diet changes I made that I felt helped contribute to having a stronger immune system. Then, I will talk to you about cutting back on sugar and some tips for doing that. Then after that, I will talk to you about how I started using chiropractic and how I feel like that really played a role in helping me to have a strong immune system, and then probiotics and some other supplements that I've taken, essential oils, that kind of thing. And then last but not least, finding out I have an autoimmune disorder and how that has affected me. So the first part, let's go into talking about my story about how my immune system used to be. So, fortunately, for the last few years, I've had a much stronger immune system, and I literally have not ever gotten sick more than once a year. But in some cases, I've even gone as long as a whole year and a half, maybe even almost 2 years without getting sick. But before that, if I flash back to probably about 7 or 8 years ago, I used to get sick a lot. In fact, I was afraid that if somebody just even sneezed on me, or if that I was in any kind of an environment where I was exposed to anything, whether it was a virus, bacterial infection, flu, cold, cough, sore throat, you name it, I would get sick. And this, was becoming a really big problem, because the reality is that I didn't want to be sick all the time. Yet I felt like I was sick all the time, and originally I didn't really know what to do to fix it. I'd been to a couple different doctors and they really didn't have any ideas for me. They didn't really know how to help me overcome this, because the reality is that, unfortunately, helping with strong immune systems is not something that most doctors are equipped to handle in today's medical care system. They just are used to more of things like, that they can fix with a drug, and there's really not a drug that you can give somebody that will automatically help somebody have a strong immune system. In fact, if anything, most drugs suppress your immune system. And there's evidence of this in part by, if you ever watch, you're watching TV and you hear some of the drug commercials, a lot of them will talk about how that particular drug suppresses your immune system. And so if you have certain kinds of conditions or things, or already have a suppressed immune system, they specifically tell you to stay away from that drug. And that's because, inherently a lot of drugs actually make your immune system worse, not better. And so really helping you have a strong immune system is not something that a lot of doctors in our healthcare system are really equipped to be able to handle. Okay, so how exactly, so that's my story. So I went from, like I said, from feeling like I got sick all the time. If I was even exposed to a little sniffle here and there, I was sick, to, the last, that was about 7 or 8 years ago, to the last 3 years or so, really not getting sick more than once a year, and in some cases even able to even go almost 2 years without getting sick. So what did I do other than some of the more obvious things? like always making sure that I wash my hands more frequently, although I feel like I thought I did that before. So, I made some pretty drastic lifestyle changes. So, one thing that I did was I got some food sensitivity testing to really delve down in and figure out, what kinds of foods were bothering me and what kind of impact were some of those foods having on me. And personally, I did what is called the ALCAT test. And the ALCAT test, it is considered experimental. There is some controversy around it. I'm not sure that I necessarily totally buy into everything that it stands for and everything that it does. But I do feel like it, did help me set me on a path a little bit by making me aware of some of the foods that potentially can bother me, especially if I have too many of them, and was also the catalyst for helping me realize that I just really needed to kick gluten to the curb and give up gluten. So at that point, I went gluten-free, and I have to say that that has to have been one of the better things for my overall health and my immune system. And, gluten isn't necessarily bad for everyone. It isn't necessarily going to be a trigger for an immune problem for everybody, but I feel like for me personally, it was one of the big triggers. And then I also have, really given up milk, and, I should be 100% dairy free, but I have to honestly admit that occasionally I cheat and eat a little cheese because, especially when you have something like pizza, it's really, really hard to want to have pizza with dairy-free cheese, but I still, try to do that, and then occasionally, like I said, cheat a little bit, and I do still eat butter because that doesn't have, quite as high the milk and the dairy content, but at the end of the day, really going gluten-free 100%, acting as if I have celiac disease, even though I'm pretty sure I probably don't, but I have other autoimmune issues and that kind of thing, really was one of the catalysts to help start to fix my immune system. And so, if you are really struggling with a weak immune system, I would say that you might want to consider going gluten-free. Especially if a lot of what you eat that contains gluten is of the processed kind. And that's how most people are. The reality is that most people don't only eat gluten in pure 100% organic whole wheat bread. They eat gluten, as it's added to a lot of processed foods and processed breads and things that, really have a lot of white flour and starch and are just not good and healthy for us overall. And so that is, was what I feel like was one of the catalysts. And then also, just being more aware of what it is that I put into my body and the impact that what I eat has on my overall health. So then along with that, and I noticed that these two things basically went hand in hand, I really started being more conscious of what I was eating when it came to sugar. Now, to this day, I have to honestly admit I'm not really what you'd call 100% sugar-free. I try to get, like more chocolates that have stevia in them. I always read labels and try to do what I can to avoid sugar. I don't really do even honey or maple syrup on a regular basis. I try to really use more like coconut sugar, monk fruit, stevia sweeteners, that kind of thing. And have given up most sugar, but I can't say, I've given it up 100% of the time. I do occasionally have a little something here and there with a little sugar in it, but I've really given it up, 90% of the time. And I do have to say that that has really helped. And I found that going gluten-free did actually help me in the beginning to give up a lot of the sugar, because if you think about it, a lot of the things that you eat that have sugar in them also have gluten in them. So, like your cookies and your pastries and all that kind of thing. And while there are gluten-free equivalents, I recommend really staying clear from most of those. The big exception would be, like if you want a few gluten-free crackers or gluten-free bread, as long as you're careful in moderation, those can be good too. So anyhow, combined with really making the diet changes, combined with really trying to get rid of sugar, those two things I feel like had a really big impact on my overall immune system. And again, like I said, I feel like this is one thing that really our healthcare system does not focus on enough. They don't focus on the impact of what diet does to you and your overall health, and even with something like your immune system. So the reality is that most of us don't draw that connection between the health and strength of our immune system and the foods that we eat, other than that we think, okay, if I'm sick a lot, have a weak immune system, maybe I need more fruits and vegetables, maybe I need more vitamin C, need more vitamin D, those kinds of things. Some doctors will recommend those kinds of things, and sometimes we might think about those kinds of things, but we don't really think sincerely and deeply about how the other things that we're eating might be impacting our immune system. So I'm getting a dry throat from talking too much, so I need to drink some water. So that's another thing. And then I personally was never really a big soda drinker. I never really have been. But for those of you that are, that is something you really, really need to think about, because soda can really literally wreck your immune system, especially, even whether it's sugar or whether it's supposedly the sugar-free with aspartame and some of these sweeteners. Those kinds of things can really cause a lot of problems to your immune system. So, if you are drinking those things, you really want to take a look at the damage that those things are causing to your immune system. Okay. So that pretty much covers the first part. So then the other thing I did is I started going to the chiropractor on a regular basis. And initially when I first started going, it was because I had a whole bunch of back pain. That typically is the reason why a lot of us start going to the chiropractor. But I started noticing, in addition to getting some relief from the back pain, that I started getting sick a lot less frequently, and I had fewer allergies, fewer respiratory issues. I had a track record of a lot of those, and to this day still struggling with them a little bit. But just noticed over time as I went to a chiropractor on a regular basis, and in the beginning I had to go a lot more. Now I really only go about once a month. Sometimes I might go twice a month depending on how I'm feeling. But, I don't go a ton, but I still go often enough that I feel like doing that on a regular basis really has an impact on my immune system. And there are actually studies out there that do actually support the role that chiropractic can play in a strong immune system. And then in addition to that, I also do acupuncture at least once a month, and that has really helped my immune system as well. So, I realize some of you might be really skeptical, thinking, no way, how do those things impact your immune system? But the reality is that if you have, good posture, if you will, if you keep your back and your spine in alignment, and, if you find ways to benefit from having that, like they call the chi in the acupuncture, to keep those balanced and keep your body and everything in good alignment and in harmony, then you're going to have a stronger immune system. Okay, so the next thing I did is I started really focusing on a lot of my gut health. And if you have a weak immune system and you get sick a lot, then you likely have a compromised gut and some gut health issues. And quite frankly, gluten wrecks your gut and your digestive system in most people. So that is one of the reasons that I feel like for me, giving up gluten really had such a big impact. But in addition to that, you also want to identify what other foods are bothering you, but you also want to take things that help support a healthy digestive system and a healthy gut. And one of those things is probiotics. So I started taking probiotics every day. I still take probiotics every day, and I feel like that has really helped to give my stomach and my digestive system be better, and overall help myself to have a healthier immune system. And then last but not least, in January of 2018, I found out that I actually have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disorder of the thyroid, and I feel like that was actually also impacting partly why I was sick a lot and why I was having autoimmune or issues with my immune system. And so, I got on thyroid medication and have been working on getting my thyroid antibody numbers down, and they're finally starting to drop, and have noticed a real big change in the strength of my immune system by getting that under control. So if you have, a chronically weak immune system, you may also want to check into and consider if you have an autoimmune disorder, because that can really impact your immune system. And once you actually get that under control, you get your immune system in balance, your autoimmune disease either goes into remission, which is more likely than it actually going away. In most cases, you can't really get rid of or completely heal an autoimmune disorder. Once you've had it, you're pretty much always going to struggle with it a little bit. But, once you get your numbers more under control, if you need medication, get on it, that kind of thing, that can really, really help a lot. And then last but not least, I started using essential oils on a regular basis to help with a balanced immune system. And, this isn't a talk about essential oils, so I'm not really going to cover them that much, just to say that I started using things like the doTERRA On Guard blend, clove essential oil, turmeric is one that has helped, copaiba, just different things to help support with a healthy, strong, balanced immune system. Frankincense is another good one that I've used. And so, there's just a lot of different things that you can do to help have an immune system and a strong immune system. And I feel like a lot of times in traditional medicine, they lead us to believe that if you have a weak immune system and you get sick a lot, well, here's some extra vitamin C here and there, maybe take some extra fruits, maybe, eat a few extra vegetables. But other than that, we're sorry, there's not really a whole lot you can do. And the reality is, I'm here to tell you that that's not true. If you have a weak immune system, you actually can improve it, and you can make your immune system strong, and you can become less susceptible to catching a lot of the bugs and the things that are out there, and make it so that you don't get sick as frequently. I mean, I even had the experience at one point, and this is going on, probably close to 3 years ago now, where I was directly exposed to the flu, and I don't get the flu shot. And so, I had not had that, and my mom actually came down with it while I was on a trip to California with her. So I was in like direct contact with her, and she got really, really sick. And I actually did not get it, despite having had direct exposure and contact to it. So I know that what I am doing to help have a strong immune system, I know those kind of things work. And I know that it is possible for you to have a strong immune system. So if you would like some help in improving your immune system, I am going to write a website that I have right here, and I'm going to make sure that I have the right URL for it in the comments so that you can go in there and check it out. And yep, that's what I thought. This is the right one. Let's see. Okay. Yes. You can touch base with me or check out at annalarbrown.com/immune. And this talks about my 30 Days to Better Immune Health program, but there's also more information there that you can get in touch with me. You can contact me, and I would be more than happy to help you improve your overall immune health and help you go from having a weak immune system to having a stronger immune system, because I know, like I said, that it is possible and you can do it. So anyhow, if you watch this replay or whatever and have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those below. And I look forward to getting in touch with some of you and being able to help you have a stronger